Hi, I'm Fred Burton with Stratfor, here today with my colleague Scott Stewart to discuss the recent Islamic State 11-minute tape entitled "We Will Burn America" that was released last Friday. Scott, what's your take on this new Islamic State video?
Well, I think it's important to view it not just as itself, but really in a whole line of other things that we've seen the Islamic State put out. Really starting in last September, we saw al-Adnani put out a statement calling for grassroots jihadis to conduct attacks really throughout the Western world. And following that appeal, we saw attacks up in Canada, one in Montreal area, one in Ottawa, and we saw one in New York. Then in December, they made another appeal. And following that appeal, then we saw attacks in Sydney in December. And then in January, we, of course, saw those attacks in France. And then in February, we actually saw one in Denmark. So there's been like this continuation or this pattern where the Islamic State will put out a statement requesting attacks, and then we'll see these grassroots jihadists actually fulfill that request.
Scott, do you think that the group has the capability to launch attacks in the United States, or better put, will this tape inspire attacks here in the United States?
Well, yes, on the first part of the question, the reason that they are asking grassroots jihadists to conduct these attacks is that they can't do it themselves. If a terrorist group has the ability to conduct an attack, they're not going to ask someone else to do it for them. So this is really an indicator of their weakness. And really, if we look at the history of the Islamic State going all the way back, to the al-Zarqawi days, they've never really been very good at terrorism, as far as projecting their terrorist power. They've been fairly good at fighting insurgency type warfare. And certainly as far as conducting attacks in a war zone, where they have access to a lot of military ordnance and that sort of thing. But as far as actually, practicing what we call terrorist tradecraft and getting operatives to other countries and other regions in order to conduct attacks, they've struggled at that. And so this video is really an admission of that struggle, or another admission of that struggle, asking other people to do the attack. The second part of your question, will we see the grassroots jihadists, respond? I believe so. The Islamic State has a very large following on social media, and they've attracted a large number of followers. And therefore, I think that we will see attacks. And this is specifically asking for attacks in the U.S. It would not surprise me if we don't see some low-level attacks here.
Well, let's hope the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Forces continue to roll up these grassroots activists that we've seen in the past. I know in our discussions yesterday, we were discussing about the unique digital fingerprints that are on this tape. Why don't you help our viewers understand a little bit about that?
Well, one of the things that I thought was interesting about this tape, it was coming from the Al Hayat Media Center, which does the Islamic State video. But one of the interesting things I thought in this video was that we saw kind of some excerpts or things that were cut out of earlier videos. Some of the execution videos had been cut in past releases in order not to show the really horrific stuff. And this latest tape actually put in just glances or glimpses of that more horrific footage. So it was definitely intending to, kind of shock and awe people, in the West and kind of scare people in America. At the same time, I think that the gore was intending to kind of motivate these, kind of psychologically disturbed people that tend to conduct these grassroots types attacks.
Scott, I know we've seen some recent roundup of suspects here in the United States by various FBI Joint Terrorism Task Forces. Could you elaborate on that a bit?
Okay, certainly the FBI and the other security agencies in the Western world are very concerned about this possibility of grassroots attacks. And so we've seen them working overtime to try to identify and arrest as many of these people as they can in order to prevent attacks.
Well, that's an interesting read, Scott. Really appreciate your view on this. I believe that's all we have time for today. For those of you who would like more information, please visit our website at www.stratfor.com.